We are going to begin on page Lamed Aleph 31b, and they're just going to go over what we did yesterday, what we learned. So yesterday we spoke about the story of Hannah begging Hashem for a child, and Eli misjudged her. Eli HaKohen, Eli, who was the Kohen Gadol, he had just become the Kohen Gadol. He misjudged her, and he thought that she was drunk. And we explained yesterday, of course, on the simple level, what it means is that he thought she was physically drunk. And a few of you mentioned the Vilna Gaon's explanation that he asked the Urim V'Tumim, he asked the breastplate has a certain power, magical power, godly magical power that Hashem invests an ability for the Kohen Gadol to put in a request and ask questions, and Hashem will answer via the Urim V'Tumim, via the breastplate of the Kohen Gadol. The letters on the breastplate would light up, and he was able to get an answer to his questions. And so the Vilna Gaon has a cute insight about that. He asked the Kohen Gadol, Eli Kohen asked, "Is this lady drunk or not?" And he got the answer. The letters lit up, the letters of Shikr, Shin Chaf Reish Hey, Shikira. So the thing is that with the letters in the Urim V'Tumim, you never know what the proper order. You have to have divine inspiration to know how to put the right order. So Eli HaKohen read it to mean the word shikaira, that she's drunk. And really, it was meant to be read in a different order. The other order would have been kashera, she's kosher. She's good. She's a good lady. Or Kisara. She acted like Sarah. She has very good deeds, and she's very righteous, like the matriarch, like the first matriarch, Sarah. So that is on a simple level. Eli thought she was drunk, and really she was righteous. And on a deeper level, we mentioned yesterday that she was praying so strongly and so bitterly that Eli felt that she's praying in a way that's inappropriate, because it looked like she was just praying for her personal needs in a selfish way. And that is inappropriate because we're not supposed to pray that we're just asking God for everything. I need this, and I need that. In fact, there is a statement in the Zohar where it mentions that the people who are requesting for their needs, it says they're like dogs. They're just asking, give me this and give me that, give me this. Imagine, no one would have ever dreamed of thinking about prayer, and Hashem is looking at it like we're like dogs just asking, give me, give me, give me. But that's what it says in the Zohar. And the meaning of it is that if people are just asking for their personal desires and for their own passions, their own interests, and without thinking about Hashem, then it is like gimme, gimme, gimme. But if we're asking Hashem for things that a Yid needs in order to serve Hashem, then it has a whole different meaning. So but it really changes our whole view on what prayer is, because we really when you're growing up, you're basically taught just to ask Hashem for anything you need, whatever you want. And as we mature, we're supposed to start realizing that it's ultimately, we're supposed to realize that the ultimate goal is, because it's all for Hashem ultimately. We really want Hashem to have everything that he needs in this world, and we'll be able to fulfill his mission that he gave us and placed upon us. And so we're not really asking, gimme, 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 but it's really, Hashem, we want your desire, your will to be fulfilled. And we need this, we need funds to make it, to make the world a place to scream out and declare your greatness, Hashem. We want the world to show your greatness. Yes, Yehuda.
I don't understand how Eli could have assumed that if he didn't hear what she was saying.
It's a good question. In general, either way, I'm not really sure I understand what Eli was thinking. I don't know people who are drunk that are very quiet. Normally, someone who's drunk is screaming crazy things and doing crazy,
Right.
So the simple meaning is also a little hard for me to understand. It's not like the simple meaning is any better. What made him think? Was she walking, wobbling? Was she falling over and couldn't get up? That's the drunk people that I've seen.
Right.
That there's the. So I don't. It seems a little surprising that he said that word. That's why this shot is actually a little better, because what it's saying is no, she wasn't drunk at all, and she was just. She was drunk in her mind, meaning she was selfishly she was indulging in her own interests. Now, how do you see that when someone prays? That's a good question, Yehuda. How can you tell that they're really caring about themselves instead of Hashem? And I guess the bitterness normally would be a sign of that. You know what I mean? When a person is so bitter, it seems like they can't get out of their need, that they're just thinking they're so tied up in their own need that they're looking of bitter. It doesn't, are they really that sincere for Hashem? In other words, such sincerity seems like it's coming from their own personal needs. And what she awakened Eli to realize was, no, even though I'm so bitter, it's really because I want to give this child to Hashem. And she did. She actually gave him to the
right.
Something. So what it seems, that's my understanding is that she by being so bitter, it would only be normal for it to be in a selfish way of her needs, that she's so tied up in her need that the whole picture looks like she's not composed, and she's not able to get out of think objectively. She's just so tied up in her mess. But I see we have some hands up, so maybe they're going to argue with me. Ezra.
I think Ben had his hand up before me.
Okay, Ben.
Okay, shortly, I think he saw that she was kind, and maybe she acted erratically and very bitter, like you said, over bitter. And he figured something's going on here. Maybe she's drunk.
Okay. Sounds good. Yes, Ezra.
Well, how long was Eli Kohen Gadol?
I believe that day he was appointed to be Kohen Gadol. I think that's what it says in the commentary. I think that's what it mentions, that he became Kohen Gadol that day.
But I'm sure that the amount of time that he was working in the Beit HaMikdash, he would have no. All the time that he's been working as a Kohen, I'm sure that he's met so many people that he could determine their character or their from their behavior, the kind of individuals that they are. Mm-hmm. So perhaps based upon his experience of having to have dealt with many people as a Kohen, he made that determination.
So would you say from their facial expression, more from
it could have been facial expression, the way they carry themselves, etc. So it may have been those things that in his mind tipped him off that she was
right. There is a Kabbalistic concept called Chochmas HaPartzuf. There's a way of reading someone's face, like the term reading someone's mind. So maybe he was similar to what Ezra's saying, like he might have felt, simply from having that Chochmas HaPartzuf, that ability to read someone's mind, that he thought, he was convinced that he had it right again. And in this scenario, he happened to have been wrong. Yes, David.
Yeah, I'm thinking that Hashem allowed that to happen to show that even a great person like Eli, the Kohen Gadol, can make a mistake. So a person shouldn't be so sure of their own evaluation of somebody else. He even had the words in front of him that spelled kosher, and he opted to see it as shikr because he didn't judge her l'kafzechus to the side of merit. So if somebody like Eli can make that error, how much more so Hashem wanted us to know that we should be careful about how we judge somebody else.
Yeah, that sounds like a good, strong element of, rebuke that we need to think about. We have to so that's a very important vart that you're saying, David. Very nice. We always have to be careful. Even if we're successful many times at doing it right, doesn't mean that this time we're correct. We might have judged the last 10 people and hit it on a bullseye and been correct. But you never know. Yes, Susan.
You had said something yesterday that if we make a misjudgment about a person, we need to go to them and make amends. That it's something that Hashem wants us to do. And even though that bothers me a lot, because sometimes that person rejects you even more and does not accept what you're saying. And
that wasn't Eli. Eli accepted what she said, and he even blessed her. He said, you will have a child.
I guess Susan's asking, what do you do if the person doesn't act like Eli?
Right.
Yeah, it's a good question. Maybe we'll talk about it another time. I don't want to we don't have much time here.
No.
But it's interesting. It's a good question. What in a practical sense, how do you deal with someone? It's almost like asking someone forgiveness, and they're going to get more angry. It does discuss something like that. Like if there is a question similar to what your question is with regard to gossip. If you said something bad about someone, and or you did something wrong to someone, and then you want to ask them forgiveness. But if you ask them forgiveness, it's going to embarrass them more. So it is discussed in the Paiskim, in the those that decipher the halachic rulings. So this is a question that's asked, and if I remember correctly, I think that would be a scenario where you don't have to tell them what you did wrong, because if you tell them what you said wrong against them is going to embarrass them. So you just want to ask them forgiveness, but without saying what you said. Somehow, you get around that, Okay. Something along those lines, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Okay, Ben, yes.
Yeah, I wanted to say the mere fact that he went to the Urim and Tumim means he suspected something. And then it's easy to misread the name. If you already suspected something, it happened to me that I had something in mind and looked at the word, and I changed a couple of letters and read it the way I thought. So,
especially Ben, if you're reading it upside down, don't forget, he's hailing the Kohen Gadol. He looks down at his stomach to see lit lights. So
that's true too.
Right.
Yeah.
An interesting point. He's got to read it upside
Excuse
down.
me, Rabbi.
Urim and Thummim. What does it mean? He asked for the Urim and Thummim. He looked down. That's what it means. He asked the Urim and Thummim.
That's an interesting point. Yes, Moshe.
It's hard to understand that in those days that there would be so much shikr and caravening amongst the women. You know, I mean, you would think there would be more scrutiny upon the women, you know, if that were the case, you know. So, I mean, it was a very big aveira on the part of Ellie, you know, to make a comment like that to her. You know, I mean, it really.
So what you're
puts her in a
saying
very
is,
bad, I'm sorry.
What you're saying is that in nowadays it would be less surprising for a woman to get drunk than in those days. Is that what you're saying?
In those days, I mean, you know, you look at the Middle East right now. And it's you know, even a woman in the Arab world, if she's caught you know, shikering, you know, it could mean a death penalty for her, you know, whether it's in Iran or Iraq or wherever it is. But I mean, because it actually approaches a closer venue, you know, to what may have happened back then. I mean, we're looking at it from the point of view of being in the West now, you know, now it's acceptable, but in those days you would think that would not be an acceptable practice, you know, for a woman to actually, you know.
Right, I hear you.
Maybe she was the one making the wine for the family and was just tasting from time to time.
Anyway, that's an interesting thought, Moshe, because you're trying to imagine what the culture was in the time of Eli HaKohen. I don't know if they, you know, if they acted in that way, like the, you know, I don't know if you can compare them, lahavdil, to the Arabs. You know what I mean?
No, I'm not trying to compare them to the Arabs, but I'm just saying.
I know the mentality, the culture. Right? Obviously, we're not comparing their actions, but I don't know. I you know, that's an interesting. That would be more like a research project to try to imagine what the culture.
We're looking at it from our frame of reference. That's what I'm saying.
You're right. Yeah. We're looking from our point of reference, but I don't know how much different it was in the Jewish world then. In other words, you have to understand also that the only reason we're familiar maybe with the non-Jewish world is because in today's day and age, we sort of have respect for other nations, whether it's right or wrong, but we sort of see some good in other nations. In the olden days, the other nations were the lowest of the low, the evilest of the evil. They were wicked, cruel, you know, they were terrible people. And so for us to follow any of their culture was absolutely, like, we would do anything that's the opposite of what they wanted. So I'm just throwing an idea, you know what I mean? Nowadays, you have some decent goyim, you know what I mean? So maybe people, you know, that's why, unfortunately, there's intermarriage now. In those days, there was no intermarriage. It was like impossible. It was unheard of, because who would want to marry someone who's the bummiest of the, you know, the dirt of the world, you know, the evil. I mean, they go around killing Jewish people and destroying, just, you know, doing terrible things to themselves, even their own countries, you know. So I'm just saying, I'm just throwing a thought there that it could be that there was, you know, that they had no interest in being at all like the goyim, you know, in any shape or form. So there was no, you know, there was none of that. But maybe I'm just, you know, just a thought. Again, I'm not a historian or, you know, in any shape or form. Okay, so let's jump back to but it's a good question, Moshe. Definitely something that you know, if you wanted to do research and try to think about it and look into it. We are going to continue. Let me just tell you a little more. Let's go over a few more things. So we mentioned yesterday this story of Hannah, and we learned number one about if a person does misjudge someone, if a person is misjudged, they should tell the person that they didn't do it wrong, didn't do anything wrong. And because Hannah told Eli that you know, don't judge me wrong, and she explained. She says, I am bitter. I'm embittered. I didn't drink any wine. Don't judge me. I didn't drink any wine. So don't think that I'm shikr because I'm not. So she corrected him. And then it says that don't think that I am a base woman. And what we see here is that if a person is shikr and they daven, that you're considered like you worshipped idols, because bliyal, the word bliyal, which is the Hebrew word, what he was misjudging here is the same word used for idol worship. So the Gemara sees that as a sign that if a person davens when they're shikr, it's considered like they're worshiping idols. Basically, it's an abomination to daven like that. It's not just not accepted, but it's like it's wrong. It's worshiping. It's like worshiping an idol. And then Rabbi Elazar said another statement. So he said the first statement, tzarech lo hidiyah. He said a second statement that it's like you're worshiping idols. He says now a third statement. So this is all Rabbi Elazar, that a chesed es chavera, if you misjudge someone, you have to be mephias them. You have to appease them, and not only that, but you have to bless them. Now the commentaries have a problem here, because if you look at the verse, it doesn't say anything that he appeased him. What did Eli tell? What did Eli tell Chana after he misjudged her? What did he say to her? So what he said to her was, let me get the verse. I'm just looking on the side here. Let me get
it's Shmuel Aleph 117.
Yeah, I don't have. I thought it was brought on the side. Here, let me just read it from the actual book of Shmuel. So it says over there, Eli answered, Vayan Eli, Vayomer, and he said, L'chi l'shalom, go in peace. V'lekei Yisrael, the God of Israel, Yitain es shelasech, will give you your request, asher sha'alta me'imai, that you requested from him. So did he appease her and say, I am sorry, I misjudged you? It doesn't look like that. She answered back to him that don't think that I am do not deem your maidservant to be a base woman, for it is out of much grievance and anger that I have spoken until now. And Eli answered her that go in peace. Did he appease her? Go in peace. The God of Israel will grant you your request that you have made of him. So where is the appeasement? Rabbi Elazar says you have to not only appease, you got to also bless. He blessed, true, but where's the appeasement? So so one of the commentaries says that the explanation is that why did he first say go in peace and only afterwards says God should give you your request? He should have said goodbye to her after, go in peace. First he says go in peace, and then afterwards he says Hashem should give you your request. He should have said first, Hashem should give you your request, and then he would say go in peace. So because of that, because he switched around the order, the Gemara understands, Rabbi Elazar understands that what he's saying is, number one is may there be peace between us, like l'chi l'shalom, more means more let us have peace. So may you have peace, meaning may we not have a fight between us, and you'll go in peace. And that's the appeasement. And then the second thing is Hashem should give you, he blessed her, that her prayer should come true. So that's one of the commentaries, the Pnei Yeshua. Any thoughts on that? Anyone? Did I see a question?
I wanted to say when he says go in peace, meaning I'm not going to argue with you on it, and I'm going to bless you that you're going to have the child.
But I'm not going to argue on it. I don't know if that's appeasing.
Because that's like he's not saying either way. He says,
in some cultures, that's maybe we have to ask Moshe about that. In some cultures, that's called appeasing. I'm not going to argue with you.
not going to judge you. I'm not going to judge you. Go in peace. And God will give you your thing. That's right. That tells her that she was right.
I don't know. I think I would like to hear,
I'm sorry.
More of I'm sorry than just to go in peace.
It's hard to get it from somebody that's his job to watch you.
Right. Yes, David.
Yeah, maybe it's like a kal v'chomer, that it says that the person must appease the person, and even more than that, must bless him. And here he blessed. So the fact that he blessed is his way of saying, this is my way of appeasing you. I'm not only going to appease you, I'm going to bless you.
Yes, I think that's a beautiful explanation. Thank you, David. That's a very nice insight, that it's more of a kal v'chomer. I was going to look and see if someone mentions it here.
Rabbi, something about this whole discussion, the fact that he didn't say I was wrong or I made a mistake, or, I mean, just saying go in peace, he's not saying anything. I mean, he's not admitting that he made a mistake.
Right. That's what it seems like. But the fact that the thing is that the verse is hinting to us that he appeased her by saying it in that order. Meaning, although the verse doesn't say it explicitly, but it's hinting to us something, because the verse switches around the order. It must mean that he personally appeased her. And maybe the verse is not emphasizing it. It's maybe embarrassing for someone to say, I am wrong, but it's hinting that Eli said something to the effect of, I'm sorry and I'm wrong, something along those. It's hinting to us this idea because it switches around the order. So if you look at the verse inside, you'll see that it doesn't seem to go it seems to be misplaced. And that's what the Gemara is.
Okay.
That's the point. Okay. But it's a good question that you're asking. Yeah, David, very, very nice shot. The only other answer that I see given is that the word vaya'an means that Eli answered her words. So the fact that it uses the term vaya'an means that he replied to her something about the fact that she answered that she wasn't drunk, and he obviously replied to her that it's a request for forgiveness, appeasement. Or saying the words Lech L'Shalom means, if it uses the word Bayan, so Lech L'Shalom itself means that that was words of appeasement. Bayan Eli says Lech L'Shalom. Okay, anyway, that's but I think that's a nice stuff, David, that you said. Okay, let's continue. Oh boy, it's 11:01. Okay, I guess that's it. All right, everyone. Well, Mitzvah Hashem, tomorrow we'll have a full hour of Mitzvah Hashem.